Hi there, my name is Kay Moon and I'm a Twin Souls channel and Western astrologer. This is a video about the full moon in Pisces of 2021 for Twin Souls that occurred on September 20th, 2021 at 7:45 p.m. If you happen to be on the eastern seaboard of the United States, please check a time zone converter for your local time. A couple of things before we begin. My apologies for the delay. I know there are those of you who prefer to see the video come out before the full moon. However, prior to this full moon or this particular lunation, there were just a lot of things on my plate in the offline world. So I needed to take care of those. And I thank you for your patience. This energy will be in effect and palpable for the next 10 days or so up to as we lead into the new moon. So this will still be useful for a lot of you. Enjoy it. And then lastly, the October calendar is open. So if you would like to book some time with me to look at your chart in October, you are more than welcome to do that. This particular full moon lent itself to a very dreamy relationship energy. I go in depth about the relationship aspects of this full moon, but the dreaminess really has arrived as a result of Neptune speaking to this full moon and its connection here with the expansive energy of Mercury sextiling Jupiter at this full moon. This gives us this energy of deeper thinking, richer spiritual insights, and a recognition of the interconnectedness of the circumstances in our lives, conscious awareness about what's playing out in our life versus what's happened in our subconscious mind, the imprints that our subconscious mind has picked up. There's a real opportunity for self-awareness at this lunation that catapults us into new ways of behaving, new types of growth, new types of relationships at this lunation, based on the fact that, I can see, it's the kind of idea I know better, so I can do better. This full moon in Pisces provides the level of revelation and insight that gives us the know better part of this. And that's the important piece, is getting that recognition, that awareness of why we are who we are and why we do what we do, so that we can have the opportunity to get the results we want by changing the inputs. I know you all have probably heard that, tried and true definition of insanity, doing the same thing, expecting different results. Well, now we've channeled in with this full moon in Pisces into the why we keep doing the same thing. What is it about it that allows us to keep returning to that old behavior? There's revelation, there's insight here. And further, there's passion and commitment here, passionate action and discipline action here with Saturn and Mars in a trine. I go in depth with all of that energy inside of the full moon lightworker energy update. So you're more than welcome to take a look at that if this is something that is of interest to you. But for now, let's go deeper into the energies that I read as divine feminine and divine masculine, Juno and Jupiter. Juno at this lunation is continuing its extended conversation with Chiron. She's about to move out of orb, thank the Lord, with Chiron. And this has lent itself to an interesting set of energies over the course of the summer in the divine feminine energetic templates. There are those of you who identify in the polaric energy and only see yourself as a divine feminine. And then there are those of you who recognize, you're in some sort of union or merged energy. You recognize yourself both in the Juno and in the Jupiter aspects of the readings. So take what resonates for where you are at in your journey. Chiron speaking in harmony to Juno in the world of divine counterparts has really surfaced a lot of the wounds to our feminine energy over the course of the summer and the late spring. This has been an energy that has reminded us where we feel wounded in our creativity and our creatorship, where we feel very wounded in the way we partner and partner with other people. We have questions about our capacity to partner, our ability to partner, be a partner, whether or not partnership will ever come for us. The Chiron energy is revealing woundedness pertaining to your own divinity, as if, in the world of femininity, flexibility, creativity, your capacity to shapeshift, become what the circumstance asks for, your ability to bend and yield and flex. This is all stuff that is governed by divine feminine energy. And so with Chiron speaking in harmony, it's basically flooding divine feminine energetic fields with all of the storylines and wound that have come from those storylines from the past, because Chiron's in retrograde. She was in retrograde, now direct, about our self. Chiron is sitting in Aries, in the ways in which we struggle to create our goals, that Sagittarius, in partnership, and that's her. So things we might want to achieve or experience in partnership, ways we have felt wounded in partnership from late spring through now, that information would have really bubbled up to the surface for us to deal with, like, oh, that skeleton's in my closet, or oh, that wound has really started to get a little fetid. Time to clean it and redress it and try again, learn some new things. The fun thing about Chiron is that Chiron in its ascended path is really all about teaching and education and learning and growth. And so from late spring through this summer, we've had this opportunity to step into growth, so that as this new cycle opens, the new union window opens in January, we don't have to repeat the same patterns in partnership and growth, or in the world of our creativity. We can do things from a new place. This is an exciting transit. As hard as it has been, part of the way that it works is by revealing the pain and forcing us to look at it, so that we are forced to heal it. And so if you've had kind of a difficult, painful, challenging summer in the world of relationship, maybe you had someone kind of pop in and then pop out as August hit. And then the old wounds kind of came back up. This was really a period of time for you to get to know why you do what you do. Why are your responses your responses? What is the wounding that goes on for you in the world of relationship that creates your story, creates your life in the world of relationship? I was explaining this to a friend of mine recently, that until we have, he was reflecting back to me like, wow, you're not dysfunctional in this or that way where you treat people like X or you treat people like Y. And I said, no, I'm not, but it's a direct result of having done the work. Like, how many times when you talk to me, am I going to a class, taking a workshop, having therapy? Like, I do the work. Until we do the work, we're either repeating or running from our relationship patterns, either from our family or our old wounds and traumas. But there's no way to get the subconscious mind to do a new thing until we go in there and reprogram it. So, I've been doing the best that I can do to bring resources to the channel for all of you to partake in. I operate a lot more like a registrar's office at a university. I can tell you what classes are going to be great, but you're not going to get healed or get a degree by hanging out in the registrar's office. You have to go to class. You need to do the work. So hopefully this summer, you've taken the opportunity to find your way to the classes that resonate for you as the work you need at this time. Real healing in the world of femininity, feminine sexuality as well over the course of the summer, embracing femininity and what femininity means. then laying to rest some of the woundedness around femininity. And that was a big piece of this entire summer energy for divine feminines. And we're getting ready to close that out as we move into the fall and start a new cycle. At this lunation, she is opposite Ceres, which is the mother energy. So if any of you were trying to conceive this summer, this opposition from the divine feminine to Ceres would have presented perhaps some challenges in the world of conception. That's going to shift as we move into the late fall and the winter. You'll have some opportunities to see that through in a new way as Juno moves out of orb with Ceres and Lilith. You'll also see that if there have been any challenges in the world of relating to your own mom or your counterpart's mom, counterpart's mom maybe hasn't been supportive to you, your mom, and you have been at odds, you're going to see some of those start to resolve post this full moon in Pisces. We've got her squaring Pallas over here. And so this really brought a real self-protectiveness to divine feminine energy over the course of her retrograde this year. And that's actually a good thing. You might have felt your own walls come up as the wounds for resolution also came up. You might have felt your own, kind of like self-protectiveness, like shell needing out those walls so that you could take out all of your vulnerability and examine it. You may have found yourself a bit more reclusive, far less social, a little less willing to kind of put yourself out there while you are examining more of your soft and tender parts and doing some of the work that's required to get some new results in the world of your femininity and relationships, sexuality, etc. So that's okay. This square to Pallas is going to be in full effect again now, probably for about the next 30 days. You're really going to feel this energy of like, I'm just not so willing to put myself around people, places, and circumstances that make my open heart feel like it ought to be closed. And instead, you're going to find like, I'd rather just spend some time alone. I don't have a real need to be with or around people. And it's more so out of an act of self-protection. Just make sure you're not becoming too reclusive with this energy while you're working it, because there are those helpful people who will be placed in your path to assist you with moving forward and growth, but you'll miss them if the walls are up too high. We have also a square here to Nessus, and the Nessus square to divine feminine energy. I mean, point blank, I'll be honest, this brings for all of our feminine energy a bit of a how do I put it? Like an obsessiveness about partnership, which is what divine feminine Juno represents. Kind of a obsessive thinking about and ruminating about people that we would like to be connected to, or that we are connecting to, or the way we're doing relationship. And again, this isn't necessarily a bad thing if you're leveraging that ruminating energy to dig deep, to look at your own patterns, your own behaviors, and what the issues are. But if it's a projected out energy, which is Nessus and shadow, it can become a bit obsessive, a bit stalkery, a bit like grabby with other people's energy. And it can operate more so in the shadow of trying to manipulate and control what other people do in response to us. The square to Neptune here as well is lending itself to an energy for the divine feminine of a bit of a spiritual awareness, awakening, and insight. And so I like this because it gives us that chance to transmute some of the shadow energies of Nessus and some of the shadow energies of Pallas and say, this is why I do what I do, why I am who I am. this is what I want, and now I know what I need to do in order to get there. So if you want to have a look at some of your own work between now and the opening of the union window, pop on over to kmoonastro.com. You can book an October reading with me. We can map out things that you know you need to learn between now and January so that you can have some new results in the world of relationship once the union window opens in January. Okay, let's have a look at Jupiter. And before we dive into that, let's see if YouTube wants to show a quick commercial break. Thanks so much. Awesome. Okay, so here is Jupiter at the 23rd degrees of Aquarius. The biggest influence on Jupiter at this time is Mercury. And I love this because it brings forward a level of conscious awareness in the divine masculine energy template. So again, there are those of you who define pretty exclusively as divine masculine. That's fine. But there are those of you who are experiencing a more merged union energy at this time, and you know that you have divine masculine energy in you, and your own energy reflects this. So listen to this for the way that it resonates for you. In the divine masculine energetic template, this mercurial influence on Jupiter is preparing divine masculine energy to understand why it is they are where they are, we are where we are. Again, in the world of relationship, it's a consciousness thing. For divine feminine, it's coming through the space of wounds that need to be forgiven and let go. For divine masculine, it's coming through the space of what is my conscious mind doing and what words am I using to create my world? Is my brain being a cooperative component to the outcomes that I want? We are, and we will always be that which we say we are. So if we are saying, I'm a failure in love, I'm a failure in relationship, that is what we will become. But if we are saying, look, I've had some challenges with love and relationship in the past, but I'm growing and I'm learning, and the best is still yet to come, then that will be true. It's that old Henry Ford saying with this particular transit, whether you think you're wrong, whether you think you can or whether you think you cannot, either way, you're right. And so it's very important in our own divine masculine energy as we move through this lunation, specifically the Mercury retrograde, because that's where we're going to get the gold is during the retrograde, to be utilizing our mind and our mouth in conscious ways to construct the future and the present that we want to live in, rather than letting subconscious loops and patterns dictate for us based on old pain, old wounds, old triggers, dictate for us that which we're experiencing the now. So this Mercury trine Jupiter energy will be in effect as Mercury goes retrograde as well. There'll be a lot of opportunity for self-reflection, self-growth in our masculine energies. You may even feel a little bit of withdrawal from a divine masculine counterpart that identifies in the polarity of masculine energy, not necessarily the energy of balanced masculine and femininity. You may even see in your own divine masculine energy, if you don't identify in the polarity, but kind of identify more so having a union energy of both, that you even withdraw from the world of relationship while you do some reflection and some growth and some recognition, insight, aha work during this particular lunation and through the Mercury retrograde. We also have Mercury speaking to creation goddess here. They're in harmony and a conjunction, both of them speaking to Jupiter. Jupiter represents manifestation and creation. Creation goddess, the same thing as well. Mercury imparting the mercurial power of the mind and the mouth to the two of them. This really lends itself to a highly manifestable period of time to create new results in the world of relationships through our own self-work. Since Mercury's retrograde, Jupiter is retrograde. Through our digging into who we are and where we're at and what it is we need in order to create a different outcome. You want a different outcome, you got to put in some new inputs. And this particular retrograde period is what yields new inputs. But if you're trying to do the same thing and get new inputs, expect very similar results. We've got Jupiter sextile Eris at this lunation as well. And this has been going on again. This is an all summer thing that has been happening almost to the same degree that Chiron has been speaking to Juno all summer, late spring. If you're in the Northern Hemisphere, my apologies. For my Aussies and Kiwis, I know that you guys are now moving into the fall and into the winter, but this particular energy here, sorry, maybe you're moving into spring and summer. This particular energy lends itself to a kind of a self-righteous unwillingness to yield in divine masculine energetic templates, like a real recognition that I have to do this in a new way. I have to operate and honor myself in a new way when it comes to who I'm associating with and affiliating with. And this has been the energy of Jupiter through Aquarius all year. Jupiter spoke first with Saturn this year, and that opened and really set the tone for the way this energy was going to work. Saturn wants to talk about integrity, wholeness, not splitting ourselves, not compromising or lying about who we are. Jupiter wants to expand and grow. But when you put these two together, it means that the only path of expansion is through honoring ourselves and being in integrity with ourselves, not giving ourselves this kind of half story, half truth. Well, I can do this, but then I'll pretend to do that kind of thing. When we have the Eris energy as a part of this, Eris just ramps up that kind of self-protective, self-righteous, I will no longer exclude myself, fall on my sword, put myself out there, give myself to other people at the expense of myself. And so this is a real growth moment in divine masculine energetic templates. So no matter what kind of physical body you incarnated with, our masculine energy of wanting to provide, wanting to protect, wanting to procreate, go out there, create, do stuff, take care of in the world. Our masculine energy is now stepping into this moment and has been all year of, yes, I can. Yes, I will, but I will no longer do this at the expense of who I am. I will no longer do this at the expense of my own integrity, at the expense of my own hopes, wishes, and dreams. I will no longer do this at the expense of my growth. And so, there were some, I remember at the start of the year, who had the experience of their counterpart like withdrawing or pulling back. And they were like, why is my counterpart disappearing on me in like January, February? I thought this was supposed to be a union window. And it was because it wasn't in alignment. They couldn't come forward in a way that allowed them to be whole, to be true to themselves, to do it in a way that really honored their growth and where they'd been. In order to do it, they would have to compromise themselves in some way. And this was a year of not accepting compromise in our divine masculine energy templates. And so even those of you who, really identify more as divine feminine, you may have really seen in your journey on the masculine side of your own energy that there were just certain ways this year that there was an unwillingness to compromise in your journey anymore. Collaborate, yeah, because that means you get to bring all of you to the table. But compromise, no, we're not leaving things out anymore. Like, well, I'll give up this and then you give up that and then we'll call it fair. No. How about I get to have this and you get to have that? And in order for both of us to stand in the same place, being all of who we are, here's what the needs are. Here's what the vulnerability is. Here's how we be whole together. That's really kind of the energy in the divine masculine energetic templates this year and underlying the divine feminine energetic templates this year as well. And so this Eris energy really lends itself to no compromise, no yielding, on the divine masculine side of the energetic templates, which frankly is very helpful. I find that there are two in the polaric energy. There's just a lot of willingness to go along with whatever somebody else dictates for their life or whatever the past dictates for their life, and the polarity of divine masculine energy, like, oh, well, I guess I'll never have this because so and so said I can't, or so and so's, got their hand in my pocket, or so and so, damaged me. There's no more like playing the victim energy here. There's a real call to being like, you know what? How about the honorable thing is not to fall on my sword? How about the honorable thing is to legitimately ask myself not what I'll die for, but instead what I'm willing to live for? What am I willing to give up my old bad habits for? What am I willing to surrender to who I really am for, and to not lie about for anymore? What am I willing to become more whole for? And that was a lot of the energy of this particular Jupiter retrograde. So thank you so much for watching, liking, subscribing, and sharing. I know I've seen you guys share these videos all over the internet. I always appreciate that, where you have platform and you find it could be useful to your community. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. If you'd like to book some time with me, I'm at kmoonastro.com. Take great care and bye for now.